I don't go into a Banban game expecting good. I know all of you guys will be screaming at your screens and typing, "What did you expect?" And yeah, don't get me wrong, I went into Garten of Banban 6 knowing it was going to be rough. Yeah, for those of you that didn't get the memo, Garten of Banban 6 came out before 5, we can talk about that later. But this game in particular genuinely surprised me by how bad it actually was. Garten of Banban 3 was a legitimate improvement and had a few sequences that I can say with sincerity are actually decent. Garten of Banban 4 was extremely boring, but it was a surprisingly well-crafted game. It functioned better than all the others, and there is at least something to appreciate about the more laid-back focus on storytelling. So when Garten of Banban 6 came out after having more development time than any other game, and easily having their best teasers, I thought it would be at least the best game in the franchise. I didn't expect good, but this time around, I expected better. I didn't get it. Garten of Banban 6, despite being a very functional game, managed to display everything wrong with the previous games, and the series as a whole, in such simple ways. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to discuss the two elements of this game I actually like. Yes, there are two. And then I will explain how this game managed to encapsulate everything that sucks about all the other games. Then at the end, we can briefly discuss Banban 5, Banban 7, and the future of the series. Whatever. I feel like we've done this way too many times. Alright, so what is good about Banban 6? First of all, Bitter Giggle is back and better than ever, because he's actually on our side and has a fairly decent amount of screen time. We spoke about Bitter Giggle in the Banban 4 video as well, because he is truly an anomaly in the cast of Banban characters. The Jester is voiced by a voice actor named Ty Coker, who is clearly actually trying to make this character memorable. Are they a well-written character? No, not really. Are they an original character? Not really that either. But the voice acting performance is so much better than basically anything else in the franchise, so having them around is such a breath of fresh air. Ty, if you are watching this, you are a goat. The other thing I actually like about Banban 6 is the only good sequence in the game, which is this really bizarre but fun FNAF-like moment where you need to use lights in this room to ward off the naughty ones, which are just leeches, so Bitter Giggle can fix some shit below us so we can progress. I find this shockingly fun. There's a large light for a bigger naughty one that needs to be reset after using it, as well as 2 lights that can be in 6 different positions, so there's a great juggling of mechanics here that builds tension and is actually fun to play. Unfortunately, this sequence is very short, and there is nothing else like it, meaning only about 5% of this game is actually worth playing. Great. So that's what I like about Banban 6. So it's at least better than Hello Neighbor and Simulacra 2. But like I said, this game commits every Banban sin possible, and didn't seem to really even try to fix anything that made the other entries in the series weak. So yeah, enough stalling that, let's get into it. When you think of Garten of Banban having terrible mechanics, what do you think of? I personally think of the drone. The drone has been around since the very first game, and it has since been an absolute burden. After the first game, they gave the drone an upgrade in speed, so it's less of a problem, but it has never really been used in a good way, because the drone is just a straight up bad idea. The drone is just the definition of a first idea. Ferris Euphoric was like, alright, we got a game here with a big green man and a pink bird, and it's basically Poppy Playtime if it was a bad Roblox game. Poppy Playtime has the grab pack, which is good for mobility and puzzles, so we need something similar. And without thought, or hesitation, or even planning, the developers decided this was going to be the core mechanic of all 5 games they planned to make in a single year. Here we are at said 5th game of the year, and somehow this is the worst the drone has ever been, except for technically the first game because it was just too slow. One of the only original gimmicks of Banban 6 is that the main area that you're in is dark, and the naughty ones will kill you if you're in the dark for too long. So the solution here is to put lights on the drone and keep it above you as you navigate the area. This is beyond terrible. First of all, if the drone is too high up, then it doesn't produce enough light to keep you alive, and if you have played enough Banban, you know that controlling the height that the drone is at is not the easiest task. And of course, the drone can be really unresponsive, and on my first ever playthrough, it was already clipping through the ceiling, which has always been a problem in this series. And also, this goes without saying, but the player moves significantly faster than the drone, so you have to just, send it towards you, wait, walk to it, send it ahead of you, wait, walk towards it. It's such a drag to get to each section in the game. Having to drag this drone with you through a big open area has to be up there with the worst ideas you could have had to utilize the drone more. It is slow and boring even if it's functional, but because it's the drone, the consistently least functional part of the series, there are many complications with it on top of its boring idea. There's also this part where you need to hit a button with the drone from an entirely different floor from where the button is. Basically, on this top floor, there's an X on the floor to indicate where you need to send the drone. But you need to first position the drone on the floor below, but there is no indicator of how or where to position it. It's also just tedious and pointless even if you get it on the first try. You go down a floor to position the drone, you walk back up, and then send the drone towards the button below you to open a door. I know there's no point in calling out bad logic in this game, but this is so goddamn stupid, and it's so tedious for no reason. And this room is complete bullshit. Basically, you need to hit these buttons to light up these buttons that you then hit with the drone. But these buttons are so high up and far away from you that you straight up can't hit them when you're more than 2 feet away. The drone will just stop along the way because you can't send it that far unless you get as close as humanly possible, sometimes needing to jump just to reach them. The drone is unresponsive, can't reach very far, and very inconvenient and always has been. And Garten of Banban 6 has the best examples of it being used stupidly and all of those issues affecting the gameplay. But you know what's worse than the drone being bad and inconvenient? Garten of Banban's consistent and pathetic padding. Despite how critical I have been of these games for nearly a full year now, I feel like I have been much more charitable than some people regarding the game padding its playtime. I will not forgive Banban 2 and 3's canons, and it's mental how many of the series' cutscenes don't really need to happen, but I don't think I've ever been unreasonable when calling out content within the games that feels like it was made purely to give off the illusion that something is actually going on. But Garten of Banban 6 is really where I have to draw the line. Every single puzzle in Garten of Banban 6 is way too fucking long, not clever in the slightest, and really, really boring. The first puzzle in the game consists of pressing a series of buttons in 3 different orders, and then spamming the shit out of some more buttons to center a projection of the kindergarten's logo. This game is so goddamn slow. There's this one puzzle where you have to move around these statues of Banban and the sussy imposter to open a closet. And again, I understand I shouldn't question the logic of these games, but this is just so arbitrary. And yeah, this is way too long and extremely boring, and it slows down the pace of the game drastically, and is a complete waste of time. One of the later puzzles is a combination of a puzzle and also platforming, which with Banban's history sounds like an absolute nightmare, but this one isn't that bad. It's just kind of pointless and filler. It's not very difficult and it's not very long, so it's not that big of a deal, but it borderline does not serve a purpose because it's so basic. It's so straightforward and simple, and it kind of didn't really need to be in the game. But I can beat it without being mad, so I guess what do I have to complain about? And like I explained at length already, the drone puzzles in this game are ridiculous and some of the worst the series has to offer. All the actual puzzles in this game actually blow. Like, they suck really bad. There is one sequence, aside from the bitter giggle one that I talked about earlier, that doesn't really count as a puzzle, but since it's really the only other actual sequence, I'll talk about it here. However, I will be bringing it up again later to get extremely angry for other reasons. This part is almost okay. Basically, you need to avoid the big mutated bird, and the very middle is a safe point. While simultaneously avoiding the bird, you also need to put together this sussy imposter to distract the bird and eventually kill it. In order to do this, you need to grab batteries from the tents around the map to charge up the things that will shock the bird. I know explaining this doesn't really matter. My problem with this sequence is that if you ever go to the wrong tent by mistake, you have no chance of recovering and it guarantees a loss. But I guess this sequence is fine. It explains how to play it correctly. It's not that arbitrary, but it feels a little unfair on a first playthrough. It's not the worst gameplay-wise, and we will be ripping it apart later for other reasons though, so whatever. There are so few puzzles in this game, and we'll be talking about what takes up most of the playtime next. It will not surprise you, but this game is a perfect display of how lazy and drawn-out Banban's puzzles are. It always consists of doing something slow and pointless that will then affect something completely illogical. That is every single puzzle. And the reason the developers do this is so they can make the game longer so less people will be eligible for a refund. But you know what would ensure less people refund the game? If you actually make the game good. The problem with Banban isn't just that it's short, it's that the games are bad. Padding the game with really boring puzzles does not help Banban become better or more sustainable. However, of course, puzzles are not the end of Banban's padded runtime, because next we need to talk about Banban's storytelling, cutscenes, character writing, and all the other things the creators of this series clearly have no skill or care for. Similar to Banban 4, so much of this game is dialogue. None of it is interesting, except for Bittergiggle because he's an actual character, but even then, the script is really plain and personalityless, which honestly gives more credit to the voice actor, because they managed to give personality to a character with a personalityless script. But yeah, all the dialogue is boring and terribly uninteresting, and takes up a freakish amount of the runtime. I don't feel the need to break it down, because you already know this. I guess watch my stream, and you can get a better understanding of it. I don't know what you want from me. There's literally nothing to talk about. And one of the most depressing parts of the development of Banban is that it's getting less and less funny. And I don't mean the irony is wearing off. That's a given after doing this shit for an entire year. The irony has been gone. I mean that Banban 3 attempted to shift the series into a more laid-back comedic direction, and for some reason, they have not been able to do that as well as they did in 3 since 3. Banban 4 focused way harder on the story and didn't make it funny, or scary for that matter, but it's still not well written or well done, obviously, so it's just literally nothing, and Banban 6 is going in that same direction. I've expressed an issue with how Banban 3 attempted a comedic approach kind of out of nowhere, but I would take that over 4 and 6 just being nothing and bland and personalityless. Banban's story in its current state with the last 2 games we've had is not well written, it's not entertaining, it's not funny, it's not scary, it doesn't have a horror focus whatsoever. It's just literally nothing. It's just people saying words to this really boring story that has really no sort of coherence to it. It's crazy how nothing this series has become. But don't worry, there's more. It wouldn't be a new Banban game if it didn't introduce a new character for no reason. Did it introduce Syringian, the character that we have known the existence of since Banban 4 first came out? No, they are not in the game. In Banban 6, we meet Sir Dadadoo. Who? He is a leech-looking villain, kind of like the naughty ones, that has no personality besides being evil. I don't care if you Twitter users find his voice hot, which it isn't for the record, as your local degenerate. It's just not. It's really bad. This is a garbage character that did not need to exist. Why didn't you just keep Bittergiggle as the main antagonist? Don't get me wrong, I kind of like that he's on our side in this one. It's kind of nice. But like, he was already your only good character, and could have been really fun to focus on. Sir Dadadoo is introduced poorly, has shitty writing, has shitty voice acting, and does not need to exist in a universe with so many characters that have barely been used. All of these games are so short and bland with a bunch of characters that could be used for something grander, but instead the devs keep adding new characters to the list that will also do nothing significant. Oh yeah, and I guess I need to mention this for tradition. You know how Stinger Flynn always drugs you to show you something that allegedly teaches you a lesson? Well, in this one, you're waiting at a bus stop with the crew after surviving the Great Choo Choo Charles attack. Stinger Flynn and Banban bicker like a divorced gay couple, and then you get hit by a bus. I guess the getting hit by a bus is kind of funny, but you can really tell the developers are just starting to include these to keep a running theme. I'm not going to claim Garten of Banban 6 is as boring as Banban 4, because that's really all I had to say about Banban 4. It was just boring. But this one is worse, because it's boring and outwardly terrible. Aside from one voice actor and one 5-minute sequence, this game is actually dreadful through and through. But hey, it can't get any worse, right? It can. Don't be stupid, gamers. This is Garten of Banban. To end off my actual review of Garten of Banban 6, we need to discuss the part that deeply angers me on a personal level. In that sequence with the bird that I told you we were going to have to talk about further, the sussy imposter utters the words, "bird up," referencing the popular Banban-related meme that blew up when the game first came out. This is a genuine question I would love to ask Ferris and Bader of Euphoric Brothers fame. Why do you think you can give off the impression of being self-aware and cool with the jokes when you've spent the entirety of your time in the limelight fighting with and bashing the people making the jokes? Obviously, in this case, we are mostly talking about Yeah started the bird up meme, and the Euphoric Brothers not only blocked him, that would be one thing. They have blocked practically all of us, so that would be one thing. But they and the team behind it had him blocked from their Roblox game the day that it launched. The official Banban roleplay server that's on Roblox, is banned from it, and he was like the first hour. What the hell is that? The Euphoric Brothers are not just shitty people, and we'll have to talk about that more again someday, I'm sure. But do not let them trick you into thinking that they are self-aware or in on the joke. These are bitter, salty, and frankly unhappy people that have no desire to be chummy with people like me or people in our field. The fact that the Euphoric Brothers had the nerve to include a joke made by a content creator that they have scrutinized to an unreasonable degree in their own game, giving the illusion that they're just silly developers making a silly game that are in on the silly joke from the silly YouTubers, is legitimately off-putting and deeply frustrating to me. So yeah, the Euphoric Brothers are shitty people, and especially shitty game devs. Do not let these fuckers convince you otherwise. As this video comes to a close, we of course have to take a quick look into the future. Garten of Banban 5 has still not been released, and we do not know why. My theory is still that it will be a prequel game, and the developers think they're doing something clever by releasing the games out of order. However, they are stupid, so obviously this idea was stupid. We don't even have a release year for this game, unlike Garten of Banban 7, which has of course been confirmed to release sometime in 2024, likely in 3 to 4 months. This is not surprising. This is not surprising anymore. Banban 3, like I've said, was a surprising improvement for the series, and then Banban 4 was a step back, but not necessarily a significant one. But Banban 6 has fully taken away that small, itty-bitty fraction of hope that the series had for a split second there. Maybe Banban 7 will actually be good, we don't know, but I'm not exactly psyched to play it. Banban 5, unironically, has the potential to be something interesting, but I'm not exactly on the edge of my seat. Garten of Banban will never end, and because I am legitimately a psychopath, I will continue talking about them. I shouldn't, I know this, you don't gotta tell me twice, but I truly cannot resist. However, we can at least take a break until the next entry. I'll see you guys next time.